Hello, everybody. I am here running a few minutes late this evening. Guys, if you're watching me for the replay, if you don't mind hitting replay in the comments section and let who you are, where you're from. And if you have any questions, I always like to know who's watching live and who's watching the replay this evening. Just running a few minutes late. I was getting my kids situated so that they can watch the Olympic swim trials that are going on tonight. So we are really excited about that in my family. Guys, if you can, give me a shout out. I see some people popping on board. Give me a shout out. Let me know if my microphone is working. Give me a thumbs up if you see my microphone working. We've been having some issues with it in the past couple of weeks. Hey, Brian, watching me from the YouTube channel. Awesome. And guys, I am streaming to both my Facebook and my YouTube channels. We got Kenny Jones on board. We've got Glenda. Glad you guys could join us this evening. Give me a thumbs up on my audio. Yes. Thank you, Kenny. Hey. Okay. Great, guys. Hey, Lonnie, you got my... Okay, good. Lonnie was one of our big winners from the Cozy Talks live event. We had 11 ways, guys, in that 3-day event. What's up, Jamar? We got Bill here. Bill, I got your question right here waiting for you. We've got Harsh on board. Hey, Matthew, thank you so much. Rhonda's on board. Bonnie can hear me. Yes, wonderful. Thank you, guys. Debbie, your Cozy Talks mug is on its way. Brett Sykes with water in 100 degrees of Kansas. Holy smokes, you are definitely in Kansas, Toto. We've got Jody in 115 degrees in Vegas. Forget about frying eggs, you can fry a steak with that. Let's see. Oh, good. Bonnie got her box of goodies. So, guys, it was like 11 giveaways that we did. So many of you are going to be receiving lots of goodies. If you didn't get a chance to watch the live event, guys, it's all up on my YouTube channel. Lots of education that happened on those 3 days. Great guest interviews with Reggie Showers, with Alex DeHinton, and my girl Suzanne was on board. Oh, yay. Hey, guys, those of you who are my cool kids, you got your Cozy Talks mugs. Glasses are in stock on the website. Many of you were asking me when they were going to come back. They are back. So go ahead and order yours. Limited supply. I didn't order too many of them, guys. So if you're interested in having one of the glasses or in one of the mugs, go to my website, grab one for yourself. All right, guys, we've got a lot of questions this evening, and that always makes me very happy when you guys send me a lot of 2 pages of questions here for tonight's show. Anybody watching the swim trials, the Olympic swim trials this evening? Hey, Line. Oh, let's see. Ooh, Brian, you're kicking me with the questions right away. We're going to get that question right away, Brian. Lost audio. You will be a cool kid next time, Debbie. All right, Rhonda lost audio. Guys, can everybody else still hear me? Okay, good. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. Oh, you're watching. All right, Lynette. Yes, my kids right now, they're watching the Olympic trials. I'm hoping that they're going to televise the Paralympic trials. I'm not sure if they are or not. I have to look that up. Does anybody know if they're going to also televise the Paralympic? I know that the Paralympics are going to be televised this year, which is kind of amazing. All right, everybody can hear me. Rhonda, I think it's you now, honey, because everybody else can hear me. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who are joining me for the first time this evening, welcome. My name is Cosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist, amputee specialist here in Tampa, Florida. I've been a PT now for a little over 18 years, and my passion is working with the limb loss community. I have a practice here in Tampa that is exclusively for working with amputees. And tonight we've got, okay, good, you're back. Awesome, Rhonda. All right, so I'm going to answer that first question that just came in from Brian. And guys, you can also watch me from the YouTube channel in case you're not a big fan of using Facebook. Also, if you want to recommend this to some of your friends, I know not everybody really likes using Facebook for live shows, so they can watch me on the YouTube channel. So Brian asks, since you are taking summer and sweat questions, why, when certain dry is recommended for so many, is it frowned upon? Is it respectable product for amputees? Okay, so certain dry, the antiperspirant. Here are my thoughts on this, guys. For the past 16 years, first 16 years of my career, all I had available to me as a physical therapist was over-the-counter drugstore remedies for skincare, right? And I worked a lot in wound care. I did a lot of wound care treatments. I did a lot with the burn trauma center, worked a lot there. So I worked a lot with folks who had skin grafts throughout a large percentage of their body. So skincare and skin hygiene has been a huge part of my career. And naturally, when I came to working with those with limb loss, definitely, I do a lot of skincare education for my patients. But up until very recently, up until about a year and a half ago, all I could recommend was over-the-counter stuff, stuff from the drugstore, stuff that was good for skin, but it wasn't good for skin that was sitting underneath a liner all day long. So examples that I give guys is cocoa butter, right? I like cocoa butter. Cocoa butter was wonderful for my burn patients. It really alleviated the dryness that they would have with those skin grafts. A lot of times people with skin grafts have a lot of itchiness because they don't have those natural oil glands anymore that got burned off. So cocoa butter was a wonderful remedy, and it was very hypoallergenic for most of my population. But whenever I would use cocoa butter on my amputee population, right, it would just create an oil. It was like an oil slick when the person would put the liner on. That lotion, there was always just some of it that was sitting on the surface of the skin that wouldn't soak in all the way. Or the minute the person started to sweat, that lotion would just come out of the pores and make it very slick. Okay. And this is the problem I had with so many of those drugstore remedies, right? And I'm sure many of you have experimented with all sorts of different kinds of remedies from the drugstore. Okay. Hey, compadre from South Beach, man. Living at large. All right, guys. So, and when it came to sweat management, yeah, the only thing I could recommend was antiperspirants like Certain Dry. And I would tell my patients, okay, after your shower in the evening, put the antiperspirant all over your residual limb, and then you have to sleep with it just to let it soak into your skin. Because the problem would be as many patients would try to put it on right before they put their liner on. And again, it would just make it very slick. Okay, so guys, that's why you hear me talking about the Vitalfit product line. They are one of the sponsors of this show. It's a skincare product line that was specifically designed for people who wear prosthetic devices. Okay, so they've got a cleanser, a daytime and a nighttime moisturizer, and they have the liquid to powder lotion. Okay, guys, all of these products were designed specifically to help with sweat, odor, bacteria in your liner, and to keep your skin healthy, especially for those of you who are also diabetic. So I don't think there's anything, I don't say no, there's something wrong with using antiperspirant, but now that I know about this particular skincare line that was recently created, this is the first line of defense I give to my patients. Okay. And usually, and I wish I don't have my samples here with me, I'll have a sample size for my newer patients, and I'll have them try it out for 2 weeks just to let their skin get used to the regimen. Okay. And then, yes, we're in hot, sticky Florida. Right now, I'm in my hot, sticky garage broadcasting. So if my patients have additional problems with sweat, like when they're running or when they're doing higher level activities, then I might recommend a little bit of use of antiperspirant. Okay. But again, it's a hit or miss sometimes with the antiperspirant, even when I used to recommend it. So Brian, I don't think that Certain Dry is the devil or antiperspirants are bad for you, but I just think that there's other things to try first with the Vitalfit skincare line, and use the antiperspirant only as needed. The other side to it also is with antiperspirants, you've got all this aluminum, and there are some folks, myself included, that don't like to put all that stuff into their system. Okay, so the Vitalfit products are really clean products. They don't have any of those nasty chemicals that get absorbed into your system. And like I said, my favorite one is the liquid to powder. It's a lotion. It goes on as a lotion, and then within a couple of minutes, it dries into a nice thin, filmy powder. And it just makes it real nice to prevent friction and sweat. And it doesn't ball up like some of the other stuff. Now, all of that being said, guys, I do have patients that come into my clinic and they've been amputees for years and years and years. And they'll say to me, this is what I use, this is what I like to use, and that's all I use, and my skin's fine. Fine. If your skin is fine and you know those products that worked for your skin, keeping your skin healthy, then, if that works for you, then that's great. But honestly, the majority of the time, most of my patients are having some form or flavor of skin problems or problems with sweat or odor with their skin. So that's kind of my soapbox. And that's the small soapbox on skincare. All right, let's scroll through some of these comments here. Oh, Lori, you got the package. Oh, good. Lori was one of our big raffle winners from the live event. I am so glad, guys. So glad. And guys, for those of you who did win from some of our sponsors during the live event, if you feel so inclined, take a picture and tag the sponsor and tag COSI, hashtag COSI Talks. we love to see you guys using all these goodies that we sent out to you. Jeff, I am so glad you made it this evening, Jeff. Thank you for coming. Hey, Chuck, glad you could make it. We've got Jean from California. Trent says, I love Vitalfit products. They work great. And guys, it's one of those things you can actually, if you're curious about the products, you can go on my website and get a $10 coupon if you go to my website and order through there. The travel size package with the $10 coupon comes out to $10. So that's pretty good. It's a nice quality product, guys. As a runner, I use it all the time, keeps my skin nice and healthy too. Okay. Yeah. And again, Brian, I have some people who say that they use, for example, I'm thinking of one of my girls right now. She uses the Vitalfit products for her everyday. And then when she goes running, she does put on a little bit of antiperspirant just to help with the sweat, just because, again, we live in Florida and sweat is going to happen. And that's one thing I've just come to learn to accept as a physical therapist is, sweat happens. It's our body's way of cooling itself. So we need to sweat, and we're never going to be able to get rid of it completely. So it's how can we best manage it and hopefully prevent ourselves from driving ourselves nuts with it. Let's see. Matthew says, I find the liquid to powder lotion is a little too slick under my liner once I start perspiring. So again, Matthew, some folks who have come to me with that, usually I tell them you need to let it you need to let it set a little bit more before you put your liner on. You really need to make sure it's nice and bone dry. The other side of that, Matthew, is again, I'll start my folks on all 4 products, the cleanser, daytime moisturizer, liquid to powder, and then nighttime moisturizer. And then after 2 weeks, we'll kind of tweak and troubleshoot. If my patients are saying, that their liner is kind of slipping just a little bit, then I might tell them, okay, let's take away the daytime moisturizer and then just use a little bit of liquid to powder. Okay. And then just kind of adjust. Too much, too little, just right. Okay. And you got to find what works for you and keep adjusting what you're doing. Okay. All right. From bilateral. And thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Brian. So Brian's talking about day 1 of the live event. We talked all about balance. That was a fun show, guys. I did 3 new days, 3 new pieces of content on balance, core, and gait deviations. And guys, you can find all of that on my YouTube channel. Let's see. Boardwalk walker and switching it up. Okay. So Charles says the twice visits through Florida I took, the weather wasn't calm in Florida, damp. How should I cope in Texas, which is dry heat during the season? So dry heat, it's definitely obviously very different from the very wet, humid heat that we have here in Florida. So here in Florida, usually what I do is during summertime, I'm taking away some of the moisturizers from my patients because they do tend to sweat more during the summertime. With dry heat, your skin can still get chafed. And a lot of people don't see that because it's hot. You don't want to put on a moisturizer. It seems counterintuitive. But Charles, I recommend people who live, in Texas, people who live in Nevada, Arizona, the dry heat places, to put on just a little bit of that moisturizer. Okay. And also just making sure that you're still checking your skin throughout the day. Those rules still apply. If you're someone who is a heavy sweater, you need to take everything off of your limb, check your skin, make sure it's healthy, wipe everything down, put on new socks. Okay. All those rules still apply. All right, guys, good questions tonight. Good questions. All right. This is a good one. David, I think you're on board this evening. Here's your question, buddy. All right, David asks, since I am a left above the knee amputee and I do push myself in walking, I am always concerned about my remaining good leg. I do have a right total knee replacement and right hip replacement. So at times I've experienced some strain and aching to the right knee and hip and sometimes the right ankle. Naturally, I have to pull back, moderate my walking and exercising, and I've been looking into a few things that might assist me. So my question is, would investing in a supportive knee or ankle sleeve be wise? There appear to be many types out there. And do you have anyone or anybody who's benefited from these apparatus? Any suggestions and recommendations? So David, you definitely struck a nerve with this one for me. I'm actually not a huge fan of these supportive sleeves that you see out there on the market. Now, guys, let me make a distinction. You have your orthotics, okay? Those are made by your prosthetist, made by the orthotist, right? And those are specially made to assist with a very specific function. So for example, if you have the muscles in your foot that are paralyzed, then you will have a destined ankle foot orthosis, a specialized brace that goes into your shoe, okay? As far as these sleeves, and you see them around all the time, you see people wearing those abdominal corset waistband thingies. You see people wearing the neoprene knee sleeves. You see people wearing ankle neoprene type bracings. And guys, to me, I've never really seen their function. Okay, because think about it. What are they doing? If you think about these neoprene sleeves, all they're doing is providing compression. That's it. They're just providing compression. There is no way that that little piece of neoprene material is supporting the joint that is carrying the weight of your body. Okay? You only hear me say this once, guys. I weigh $135. There is no way that a little piece of neoprene fabric material is going to support 135 pounds. It won't. And when I'm running, where I'm putting 8 to 10 times my body weight on my joints, that neoprene sleeve is not doing anything. And this is something that kind of makes me go when I see some people going around with these, especially the ones with the back braces. Okay, what supports your skeletal structure are your muscles, the integrity of your muscles, right? The integrity of the ligaments that are holding the bones together. If the ligaments are stretched out, if the muscles are weak, that skeletal structure is not supported. It's simple mechanics, guys. That's all it is, okay? And you cannot force support with a neoprene sleeve, right? Squeezing those muscles together. In squeezing those muscles, you're not encouraging them to contract, and there's no way that that could be providing enough force to support it. Guys, do you know what's the one thing that will support your skeletal structure? A cast. Okay, think about it. Think about this one, guys. It's a cast. The only way that you can be supported if you have is, let's say you broke your foot, you broke a bone in your foot, right? So the only way that they can make sure that they support your skeletal structure is if you have a cast on. Okay, so these neoprene sleeves and braces, they don't support. And what is more, okay, especially for the people who wear the ones for their back braces, it gives you a false sense of security. Because you feel that nice tight compression and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I've got it. And then you go to lift a 60-pound box and you blow a disc. Why? Because the muscles surrounding your vertebral column were not strong in supporting it. And I've had this happen to so many patients. And I've had so many patients tell me, well, I just wear it because it kind of reminds me of what I need to do and reminds me. Guys, it doesn't work. And I'm not taking this from any professional research or any studies like that. This is just me seeing patients day in and day out for 18 plus years. They don't work. Okay. If you want, Brett says, I'll take a full body cast, please. Guys, if you want to support your skeletal structure, you have to do muscle strengthening. Okay. And going on that, so for David, for you, you have on your sound side a right hip replacement, a right knee replacement, and you're starting to have some problems with your ankle. Okay. You guys have heard me say it over and over again. Strengthening and maintaining your fitness is a lifelong pursuit, whether you have one anatomical leg or two anatomical legs or no anatomical legs. Okay. This is something that you have to continually work on. And the older you get, the more you have to be on top of it. That's just how Mother Nature made us, guys. After 30 years of age, we start losing muscle mass, a little tiny percentage every year. So if we're not challenging our muscles, if we're not creating overload on those muscles, and guys, I'm going to plug my video on YouTube about muscle strengthening anatomy, how a muscle's truly strengthened, right? You're not going to have that strength. You're not going to have the support. Now, the good news to all of this is it's never too late to start. My oldest patient to date was 102 years old. 102 years old. Now, was he benching 200 pounds? No, but I had him doing strengthening exercises that were appropriate to his age level that allowed him to continue his mobility. And this guy was a rock star, man. And then similarly, I've had men and women well into their 90s. Okay, strengthening doesn't have to be just the heavy barbells that you're bench pressing or anything like that. Strengthening means that you're applying a load onto your muscle to get it and to challenge it to grow again, to get stronger. Okay, so David, for someone like yourself, and especially if it's your sound side, guys, and this is something that you will, if you haven't already begun to notice this in your life as an amputee, you will in the future if you don't take care of it. If you don't take care of your sound side, right? That sound side breaks down, right? Let's do a quick Cozy pull. I need a drink while I'm taking a Cozy pull. Diet Coke, y'all. Diet Coke. I love my fizzy Diet Cokes on a summer night. How many of y'all are having problems and pain with your sound side? Comment section. Let's hear it. Hey, Tom. We got Phil from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, killing coffee tonight. Wow, Phil, that's a whole different direction than what I'm in right now. All right. So how many of you are having issues? Yep. Brian, Eric, Brett. Yep. Okay, David, good. Good. No, and David, I don't mean to sound like gloom and doom about it with the whole sleeves and bracing situation. Um, Again, it provides compression. Now, here's a little caveat to that. If you're somebody who has ankle swelling, right, your therapist might recommend one of these little support braces to help with the swelling. Why? Because these support sleeves, they provide compression, and that helps with swelling. Okay, so guys, don't go yelling at your PTs if they do recommend one of these braces because sometimes they do have a purpose. Okay, but when it comes to supporting your joints, guys, your muscles, they're the ones who can do the best job at this. And again, this is where I really advocate find that physical therapist, guys. And if you can't find the physical therapist who's an amputee specialist, find one who's an orthopedic specialist, a sports specialist, all right? They know how to strengthen muscles. They know how to strengthen muscles, okay? And here's the thing, there's no shortcut. There's no magic solution for it. You got to put in the work. And let me tell you something, those that put in the work, the rewards are wonderful. The quality of life from just having and maintaining your mobility as you age, it's worth the hard work. Worth the hard work. All right, let's see what other kind of. Sorry, my mouse is deciding not to be cooperative. Okay, so Krista asks, hi, Kosi, I've been in a wheelchair for so long that my leg does not extend at my knee. I'm going to be fit for a prosthetic, and now I'm afraid that my good leg will not extend and it will harm my walking. What can I do, if anything? Okay, so Krista, here's the thing. This is definitely something that has to be evaluated by a clinical professional. Okay. The physical therapist is definitely the person who should be evaluating this more so than the prosthetist. More so than the prosthetist. A prosthetist will evaluate to see if you have any contractures, which it sounds like you have a bit of a knee contracture there, Krista. But in terms of determining how mobile that contracture is, that's really something that needs to be done by a physical therapist. And again, Krista, it doesn't have to be an amputee specialist. Okay, if you don't have one in your area, a licensed physical therapist can evaluate for contractures in all the joints and to determine, okay, this is a contracture that we can slowly work out over time, or this might be a more fixed contracture. Okay. And Krista, that's where you determine what's going to happen. If it's a contracture that there's mobility in there, that the tendon has not completely calcified, okay, and hardened, then it's something that has to be done slowly over the course of time. Okay, guys, keeping in mind, remember your basic anatomy. Muscles, right? They kind of meld into the tendon. The tendon is connected to the muscle, and the tendon connects the muscle to the bone. Okay. Now, muscles are nice and red and juicy because they have a lot of blood flow, a lot of blood vessels flowing through it. Tendons, not quite as much. They do have circulation, but not as much as muscles. So when you start pulling and tugging on a tendon, if you're too aggressive with it, right, you're going to have more chance of an injury because there's not as much circulation going on there, Krista. Okay, so this is something, especially, and this is exciting, Krista. You're getting fit for a prosthetic. You've been in a wheelchair. It's time to start that next phase for you. So do it the right way. Get thee to the physical therapist. Figure out if that contracture is fixed or if that contracture is still pliable, if it can still be worked out. Okay. And Krista, yes, it will take time, but again, worth the effort to do it correctly. All right. I'm excited for you, Krista, that you're getting your prosthesis. That's great. All right. So Jean says knee and ankle is hurting. Jamar says the sound leg is hurting. Debbie says the knee and the hip. Bonnie says, yep. 4 year. So Krista says, I'm also 59. Amputation was 4 years ago. I was walking without assistance, but stamina was weak. My sound side hurts so bad. Blood flow is terrible. Krista, actually, you remind me kind of one of my patients that I have right now, actually. Very similar situation, wheelchair bound for several years and has very severe vascular issues still going on in the sound side. So, Krista, this is definitely something that you need to be under the supervision of a skilled physical therapist. Okay. And guys, this is where the training of a physical therapist is different than that of a licensed prosthetist. As a physical therapist, we are trained to treat and do the rehab in the presence of some of these other issues that you're experiencing right now, Krista. But you need to have somebody who is licensed and skilled to be watching over you as you go into walking again. Okay. So Eric says, yep, I now have an AFO on my good ankle. Lori says my sound side knee was blown out when they inserted a rod through it to save the leg. Had stem cell, which helped from the cartilage. Still take care of the leg as much as I can. Jody says that she needs a total knee replacement. Let's see. So guys, and again, it's been the case where I've had some folks come in and their sound side is actually their weaker side, okay? Where the side with the prosthesis on it becomes their stronger side. And it's possible, guys, it's possible for this to allow for functional mobility, okay? So it just means, especially that the sound side, to protect it and prevent that from also having to have an amputation later on down the line, you really want to be sometimes aggressive as a physical therapist with strengthening that prosthetic side to make sure we are protecting that other side. The statistics are sometimes a little daunting, guys, as little as 5 years sometimes. And I think it's with vascular. As little as 5 years after the first amputation, there will be a second amputation, the second limb. Okay, that's a little scary sometimes to think about. So, but again, this is where an ounce of prevention. I always mess up that saying. I need a Patrick here to help me out with that saying. My pleasure, Krista, and keep me posted. That's excited that you're getting back to this. All right, guys, let's look at the next question. Ooh, here we go. I like this one. All right, this question came in from Jonathan. Jonathan asks, hi, Kosi, I was just given my prosthesis for above the knee amputation. I'm struggling with how this all works. I'm a newbie and I'm not sure of the simplest rules of making sure my knee doesn't buckle out from under me. When I swing my leg out, do I bring my heel down and push back to make sure it's solid? It just seems like a lot for one step. If you can provide me with any information, greatly appreciate it. So Jonathan, and I responded to him, I get these emails and I try to respond to every single one of them. So guys, when it comes to using the prosthesis, yeah, you need the physical therapist. There's no shortcut on this one, guys, especially for my above the knee where you're learning to use a knee. Okay. So quick thing on the above the knee and the difference in the prosthetic knees for above the knee and below the knee. You basically have two basic choices, okay? Mechanical knee or microprocessor knee, okay? Now, for me as a therapist, the gait training that I do for mechanical versus microprocessor, there's not a whole lot of difference. Why? Because I'm doing gait training. I'm not doing microprocessor mechanical knee training. Does that make sense, guys? Now, there are tiny little nuances here and there. When the person is using the mechanical knee and their heel hits the ground on heel strike, and guys, I did a full show on gait, on how the gait cycle works on the YouTube channel. When that heel hits the floor, the person with the mechanical knee does have to do a slight little pullback, right, with their glutes. They have to activate their glutes, their butt muscles, right, to keep that knee from buckling. With the microprocessor knee, you don't have to do that. When your heel hits the floor, your knee can be in just a little bit of flexion like the anatomical knee would, okay? And yes, Jonathan, you're absolutely right. It is a lot of work just for taking one step. And when you're first learning to walk, it's exactly that, okay? We've talked about it, guys, in the gait cycle, right? The gait cycle is considered to be when you take one step, another step, and then another step. That's considered to be one complete gait cycle. There are 8 phases within that. There's a lot going on, guys. Guys, I've been studying the gait cycle for over 25 years, and I still feel like I'm scratching the surface. So yes, when it comes time to starting to use a prosthesis, and above the knee prosthesis especially, yeah, lots of moving parts, lots of things that you have to consider. And I will tell this to my patients. I will tell them, yes, you need to think about X, Y, and Z consistently until your brain builds that new neural pathway and it becomes automatic for you. Because a lot of times my patients will tell me, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm having to think every single micro movement that I make. And in the beginning, guys, it does seem like that. And it should seem like that. Your brain is trying to process all of these different things. Okay. My job as the PT is to break that gait cycle, those 8 phases of the gait cycle, to break it down into little bite-sized pieces and teach you little bite-sized piece one at a time, and then carefully put it all together. Okay. So a lot of times people will be under the impression, oh, just grab a walker and start walking up and down and practicing. And it's like, no, that's really not how it works. You got to train your brain, guys. You got to train your brain on how to relearn those little parts of the gait cycle to put it together. Okay. All right, let's see. Thomas asked, do you do much aquatic walking with your patients? I know that patients are sometimes reluctant to get in the pool, but I found great success with the ones who are really weak. Thomas, yes. Earlier in my career, I did a lot of aqua therapy. I did a lot of it actually with pediatrics. When I was working in pediatrics the first year and a half of my career as a licensed professional, I did a lot of aqua therapy. And I was fortunate that there was one of the hospitals that I worked at that had a pool. So it was really neat to be able to use that. Unfortunately, right now in my current practice, I just don't have a place where I can use a pool to use that for my patients. But that being said, I do write out aquatic programs for my patients on occasion. I'm a swimmer. I used to lifeguard, coach swim team. So for me, that on a personal level, that's something I like to bring into the equation if it's warranted. And actually, we're going to have a question about that a little bit later on down the line. But yes, I love the anti-gravity environment. It's a wonderful way to strengthen. It's a wonderful way to help also with inflammation. People who suffer from edema in their legs, having that water, being in the water helps bring the pressure and just really starts to help with the swelling as well. And it's a great way to do the strengthening. So yes, Thomas, I'm a huge fan of aquatic therapy. Let's see. Trying to scroll down. Eric says, I have both mechanical knees for running and microprocessor knee for walking. Way different. It is. And it's interesting, Eric. It's different in the sense, obviously, it's a lot more efficient, probably a little bit easier for you to walk, obviously, with your microprocessor knee, because there's some of the brain power that doesn't have to go quite as much into it. But when you're first learning these gait cycles, and this is something that the more I just watch some of the greats in physical therapy, the folks who have been doing this twice as long as I have, and just listening to how they do the gait training, just really emphasizes to me that a lot of the techniques in terms of facilitating the gait are very similar between mechanical and prosthetic, mechanical and microprocessor. That when it comes to some of the later bells and whistles, that's when you see the little differences there. But yes, Ronnie Dixon at POA is an excellent teacher. Excellent teacher. He is amazing. Amazing. Debbie says, I feel like a toddler learning how to walk. Yeah. And guys, I can't tell you how many times I have people come into my clinic and they are almost in tears. They're so frustrated and they think it's them. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I get this? I've been walking all my life prior to my amputation. Why is it so hard for me now? Okay. And for me, it's like, honey, it's not you. It's the prosthesis. Okay. It's not a normal part of your body, and your brain has to relearn that skill. Your brain has to relearn it. And it has to be taught in a very specific way to make sure that you learn the right habits and not the bad habits. Okay. And the nature of my clinic right now, I actually get more patients who are years out of their amputation. In the beginning of my career, because I worked in a hospital, I picked up all my patients as soon as they got out of that OR, and I could follow them from the minute they were waking up from surgery through rehab and into outpatient therapy. But now in my clinic, because I am not attached to a hospital, a lot of my patients find me, well after their amputation is healed, and months, sometimes even years after they've try to learn to walk on the prosthesis on their own. And there's a lot of bad habits that have been ingrained into them that we have to kind of slowly break those bad habits and build some good new ones. Debbie would love some aquatic exercises. And guys, that kind of segues into my next question. Yeah, guys, it's a lifelong pursuit. Okay, it's a lifelong pursuit. And guys, I'm also going to plug this in here. And let me just, hang on, guys. Please hold. Okay, So I just put in my YouTube channel, guys, because I've really been just trying to put everything into one place where it's easy to find. If you go to my YouTube channel specifically, go to the part that says live event, you'll find the lecture talks from last year and this year's live event. There's 6 of them on there. And the cool thing is I talk about the gait cycle, right? So you can really learn about, okay, this is why it's so complex. And then I tell you how you can start putting it together. Okay. And then in this year's talk about gait, I talk about the gait deviations, right? So talking about all the different ways that people will walk, the normal and the abnormal ways that people can walk. And when do we provide an intervention? When do we leave it alone? Okay. So go ahead. Let's talk about those water prosthetics, because I got some questions here about that. Hang on. Aha. All right. Mr. Doug was asking me, how does a bilateral get in and out of the pool without a lift? In and out of the water, be it lake, ocean, beachside. And are you aware of any good devices that a bilateral can use? I did research on AmpFin Revolution, but want to know how they attach and how easy it is to put on and remove. Any ideas? So let's talk about this one, because guys, we live in Florida and it's pool and beach season all year round. All year round. I love taking my kids to the beach, and for me, that would be one of my very first goals. And a lot of my patients, their first goal is, how can I get back to my pool? Because most people here in Florida, they have a pool in their backyard. And how can I get to the beach? Okay. First skill that needs to be learned, guys, and this is a very important one if it's possible. And I'm going to copy and paste. I looked up this resource because I want you guys to watch this. Where did it go? For heaven's sakes, I just had it here. Here it is. Okay, thank you guys for being patient. I'm looking for this video that I'm going to post here as a resource. So, Doug, your homework is to watch this YouTube video. It was done by Mission Gait Organization, which, guys, if you guys have not seen Mission Gait on YouTube, holy cow, their videos are amazing. I've been fortunate to work with them on a couple of different projects, and there's a couple of my videos up on there as well. They really do such a beautiful job of putting together these videos. And this particular video is how to get up and down off a floor as a bilateral amputee. So I don't want to say easiest, but the easiest way to get into and out of a pool, into and out of the beach and the ocean side, is to learn the skill of how to get up and down off the floor. Okay. And this is a daunting one for many, many people. And this is one that even some physical therapists are a little bit squeegee about wanting to do this with their patients. Okay. So if you are a candidate, if you are someone who is capable of learning this skill, you need to learn it. Okay. So how do you know if you're a candidate or not? My general rule of thumb, if you were able to get up and down off the floor prior to your amputation, and I'm not talking about 6 years prior, guys, I'm talking about, a couple of months, maybe even a year prior to your amputation, that you were able to get up and down off the floor, then it's reasonable to hope that you can learn that skill again. Not to say it won't be difficult, not to say you won't have to try several times to learn a tactic, but that it is possible. And again, that's the generalization, okay? And when it comes time to learning how to get up and down off the floor, definitely recommend that you do this either with a physical therapist, and definitely in a safe environment where you have people who can help you in case you get into trouble. Now, I know Jeffrey's the man. Jeffrey's the man. And guys, you should see Reggie. He's a bilateral below the knee amputee. He's on my live event for the first 2 days, the live event on the YouTube channel. I have him doing exercises, and he was getting up and down off my floor like grease lightning without a problem. Okay. So guys, it's a skill that you can learn and that can help you in so many ways. Obviously, the most obvious is if you fall, knowing how to get back up again. And at some point in your life as an amputee, you're going to fall. It's going to happen. We all fall. You should have seen the tumble I took the other day when I was running, just head over heels, right? And number 2, allowing you to do some of these activities, right? Getting into the pool. Okay. So usually when I tell people, okay, if you're first going to the pool, check to see if there's a pool lift. A lot of times now, thanks to the ADA, there will be a pool lift that goes into and out of the pool. So I tell people, call ahead of time, talk to one of the lifeguards, have them check to make sure it's working. That was one of my jobs as a lifeguard, is I had to make sure that that chair was working and that I knew how to work it, right? Heads up to the lifeguard, okay? And if not, then you got to get a little more creative, okay? Does the pool have an entry where there's stairs that go into the pool, okay, where you can kind of lower yourself into the stairs on your butt going down, okay? Are your legs capable of going into the water? Ask your prosthetist. You know, is it going to be easier for you to get into the pool with your legs if your legs are able to go into the water? Okay. If you're in the process of learning how to get up and down off the floor, okay, and sometimes what I would do with some of my patients to get them a little bit stronger is I would put steps. So they would go from the wheelchair and they would lower themselves onto a step that was a few inches below their chair, and then another step, and then they would just practice lowering themselves down and then bringing themselves back up again, especially for my bilaterals. That was one way I used. That was one of the ways to do it, okay? And you can do the same thing. If you have somebody bring a chair out to you at the side of the pool, that you can get yourself into the chair, lower yourself from the chair onto the floor, and the floor into the pool. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that you can work that out. When it comes to the ocean, I like to recommend that folks keep their leg on, if possible. If they have either a beach leg that was made from an old socket, okay, or maybe the current walking leg they have is the kind that can go into and out of the ocean, something you always want to clear with your prosthetist, okay? If you're an above the knee amputee, then I recommend when you're going into the ocean that you lock your knee in extension. Why? Because those currents will knock you right off that leg, okay? So locking your knee into extension. And then also going in sideways or going in backwards. It's a little bit easier to not get knocked over by a wave when you're going into the ocean, okay? Other important thing, especially if you're doing ocean activities, have a lanyard. Have something like the lanyards that the surfers use to attach their surfboard to their ankles. Have something that will attach your leg to you, because legs do come off and we don't want to lose our very expensive, nice legs in the ocean and into the currents. It's happened before. It's happened. All right. So Debbie asks, anybody in St. Pete, Florida that know of a pool that offers exercises? Actually, guys, I know in my area, I like I said, I like to go swimming for exercise on my own. The YMCA that I used to belong to, they had water aerobic exercises. And guys, these aerobic exercises, I used to see all the ladies and the gentlemen doing these exercises. And I'm like, these are exercises that my amputee patients could easily do. And again, because you're in the water, there's not as much of a need to have to modify these exercises as if you were on land doing these exercises against gravity. Okay. So for those of you who have a YMCA nearby, or just any pool, look and see what their water aerobics classes are. And that can be done. Okay. Totally love it. Okay. So Beth says, I received a fully waterproof swim leg with a hinged ankle from the Manton Foundation Game Changer. Okay. Jamar says, I love the cockroach exercise. Thank you, Jamar. Debbie says, when I get my new leg, they're going to make this one my water leg. And guys, this is definitely something that many of you should consider, is as you're outgrowing your socket or you're getting a new socket made, provided that that old socket wasn't tearing up your skin or wasn't horribly huge on you. If it's something that just kind of relatively fits decently, you can have that outfit into your water leg. And again, guys, there's so many options out there right now in the market for feet, water feet, dedicated water feet. Usually, this is just a little hint there. What I tell people is ask your prosthetist for their goodies closet, right? Every prosthetist clinic, guys, every prosthetist clinic has that closet in the back that has a few extra parts that are just been sitting there for a long time. You might have the occasional shoe here or foot here and there that nobody uses. Ask your prosthetist if you can have one of those for your water leg. And if not, like I said, I know just right off the top of my head, College Park has the Breeze Foot, right? Very inexpensive foot. It's a no frills foot. We're not talking about anything fancy. It's a no frills foot, but it has like a water plug on the bottom that you can release all the water and let it run out. Very, very inexpensive. So if water is something that you love to be around and you like to do, definitely worth the investment there. Yes, the YMCA. I know. YMCA has got a lot of great programs, guys. Lots of great programs. Mm-hmm. Krista asks, can you tread water with being left above the knee amputee? Yes. Yes, you can. If your other leg is doing well, that leg you have to work a lot harder. Okay. And again, when you're treading water with both your arms and your legs. Yes, Beth, thank you for saying that. Your physical therapist can give you exercises for doing water. And guys, like I said, there's many of my patients that they have pools in their homes that they love being in the pool. So I have written out exercises for them to do in the pool itself. I did like that though. When I was, like I said, when I was a younger therapist and I got a chance to work at a hospital that had aqua therapy, it was really, really cool. Oh, that's a good one to know, Beth. Thank you for saying that. So Beth says, if you want insurance to pay for modifications to make your old leg into a swim leg, it must be called a shower leg. Otherwise, insurance won't pay for it. I didn't know they would pay for it either way, Beth. So that's always nice to know. All right, guys. So here's the other part of Doug's question. Are you aware of any good devices that a bilateral can use for swimming? I researched AmpFin Revolution and wanted to know about it. So guys, I had vaguely heard about AmpFins and I went and took the opportunity to research that just a little bit this week. And I do want to start off and say, I don't know anybody from AmpFins. This is just me looking at their website and looking at what they have to say on their website. I have not used their products on any of my patients. But just looking at the website, it sounds like they have two basic models, that they have the ability to make a custom swim leg, meaning it has the socket that attaches directly onto your residual limb with the little fin attached to it. And then they also have the fin itself. Basically, it acts like a foot where it can attach to your existing socket. And it's really nice. The website, I will say, is very nicely described. The ones that have the socket where they make the socket for you, it's not meant for people who have very long or very short residual limbs. Okay. And then apparently the one with the foot, where it's just the fin itself, it is meant for people with very long or very short residual limbs. Make sense? There's the website right there. And again, guys, I don't know this company. I don't know anybody from this company. If anybody from this company is listening, would love to learn more. But this is just based on what I was looking through the website. The majority of my patients don't use a prosthesis, swim prosthesis when they go swimming, especially if they are below the knee. They just start swimming with their sound leg and off they go. And I forgot to bring my buoy device. Go figure. My kid's swim gear is usually lying around all over the place, and right when I need that piece of equipment, I can't find it. So guys, it's called a swim buoy for the legs. Okay, and swimmers will use it. It looks almost like a square piece of foam that has a curve in it for your legs, and you put it in between your thigh muscles, right? And you squeeze it, and that basically keeps your legs buoyant in the water. And the point is for the person to work on their arm strokes. Okay, so for someone who would be bilateral, this could be a tool that they could try to use. They might have to fashion something like a Velcro strap to help keep the buoy device on. Okay, but that's something that could be used. But a lot of my folks, again, they usually figure out a way of how they get into the pool, into the water, and they swim without a prosthesis on. I think again, looking at the rudimentary, the website that they have, AmpFins, I think it's a great thing to do if you're someone who is a very serious swimmer, if that's your thing. The same way I recommend for my runners, for those who are serious runners, to have a running leg specifically made for them. I think if you're someone who likes to do snorkeling, who likes to do scuba diving, I think this is a really great thing to look into. Yes, Beth says the problem with the AmpFins is you cannot walk into the water with them. And I don't know about the expense, Beth. It didn't have the pricing on the website. It's something that you obviously have to go through your prosthetist, so I can't speak for the expense. But obviously, because you're wearing fins, you can't walk on the water. You have to don the fins either poolside or I imagine right at the beach side, and then go into the water with it. So again, it's one of those things where if this is your passion, if this is what you like to do, and I do have some of my viewers who are passionate about snorkeling, and I think their ears are going to be perking up at hearing this. This might be something you might want to invest in if it allows you to do your hobby a little bit easier. Okay. Heavy, it seems dangerous. I do classes at the gym in my pool without my prosthesis. Gene, and it's something, again, I don't know anything about the weight of these particular prosthetic fins. But it's something that, again, if this is what you do, snorkeling, scuba diving, then it might be something to do. Okay, there you go. So Matthew says, I have a pair of these from Freedom Innovations, the freestyle, but I prefer to swim without my prosthetics on. And that's usually, for the most part, when most people, they prefer to swim without their prosthesis. It's just a little bit easier to manage without it. I always like to hear what you guys have to say about it. All right. Ooh, and we had a lot of summer questions today, which is great. All right. So how many of you guys, let's do another quick poll. How many of you all go to the pool and to the beach and use or not use your prosthesis when you're in the water? Barbara says, the YMCA water aerobics was the first activity that I returned to after above the knee amputation. St. Pete White has wheelchairs to go in and out of the pool, as well as a lift. Nice. And I had to admit, guys, in the YMCAs in general, the ones that I've been to, they do have the adaptive equipment necessary, probably just because of the ADA. Again, they have to be ADA compliant. Tom says, I have a custom swim leg laminated right to the ankle, adjustable ankle too. Love it, and my insurance paid for it. Brian does not use. Debbie says, I've been following AmFins because I live at the water, right? Brett says, I haven't been to the pool since I became an AK. Oh. Eric says, use and not use at Vero Beach. Jim says, wanting to do more. Okay, so I see a lot of my Floridians are out here saying, yep, we're back in the water. We're definitely back in the water. Let's see, Harsh says, I put the there we go. I put the chair near the edge of the pool before I remove and just jump in. There you go. There you go. So this one is a good one too. Christina asks how to get in and out of the pool that is above the ground. And that was an interesting one because I was just like, gosh, because here in Florida, guys, I take it for granted, the majority of people here in Florida have in-ground pools. So it's not very common to see an above ground pool here in Florida. But the applications are the same. You need to figure out a safe way to get in and out. And it might mean that you have to put some adaptive equipment on there. Are you able to safely go up and down a ladder? Do you need to do it on your bottom? Are you able to go up the ladder with your prosthesis and then you detach your prosthesis and go into the pool? There's no one way to do it. And it's basically looking at your situation and looking at the setup and just seeing, okay, how can I make this work and how can I be safe about this? And then the important thing is how to get out of the pool. Making sure you have an exit strategy to how to get out of the pool. I think Harsh's idea of just having that chair right at the pool side and having all your stuff right there ready to go with the crutches, if you're not using your leg or your leg there, that's the way to go. Debbie says, I haven't been brave enough yet to get into the ocean, but I will soon. You don't want to miss this. Charles says, I pull my leg off when I am anywhere near the water, lake, ocean, stream, or whatever. Okay. Oh, and guys, this definitely strikes a chord with me because I love the water. I swim, my kids swim. I love taking my children to the beach. So whenever my patients come to Mike and they say, I want to get back to the beach, and it just makes me go, okay, we need to figure out how we're going to make that happen, figure it out somewhere, somehow. So guys, one of the things that I also recommend to folks, and this is something that, if this is your first time getting back out to the water, whether it's the pool or the beach, is practice. Run a practice session. Okay. And the analogy I've used with some folks is, when I have 4 children. For those of you who don't know me, I have 4 children. And when they were very, very, very small, and I would try to take them to the beach on my own, I always knew I had to park at a certain place at the beach, get the certain little walkway that went into the sand, and go to the certain part of the beach that was nice and flat so I could see my kids all the way to the water and I could keep an eye on my stuff at the same time. Basically, I knew exactly how to do things to make it work and to keep it safe for managing 4 kids. And when you're going to the beach or the pool the first couple of times after your limb loss, it's the same kind of concept. You got to do a lot of planning ahead of time, and you might even have to do a practice session when the beach is empty, when the pool is empty, to figure out how you're going to do things. Okay, but it's really just that. It's practicing a new skill, and it's definitely worth doing if this is something you want to do. And who doesn't want to go to the beach? That's why I'm in Florida. Let's see. Looks like we got someone on here who is not supposed to be here. Alrighty. Harsh says, got 1 beach leg made, but then not used it yet due to the pandemic. Hope to use it this summer. Harsh, you got to use that leg, man. Got to use the leg. Let's see. Beth says I go into the lakes and ocean with my side sticks outfitted with sand baskets. There we go. So my prosthetist made a water leg out of used parts. Let's see what else. Yeah. No, definitely water is something you want to get back into, guys. It's just one of those, quality of life things. Quality of life. All right, guys. I think I have gotten. Did I get all the way? Nope. Almost all the questions. Hang on. Hang on. You can tell I'm in my garage because it's beeping like crazy. All right, let's see. All right, we got that website. Now I knew I had to do this one. Okay, so next question. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so this next question came from one of the support groups, and it says, I am a right arm amputee that has struggled for 20 years with phantom limb pain. It has worsened over the last 2 years to the point that it keeps me from sleeping more than a couple hours a night. I've tried medication, mirror box therapy, acupuncture, massage without relief, wondering if anyone found relief through some other means. Now, I get a lot of questions, guys. Lots and lots of questions about phantom limb pain, phantom limb sensation, and residual limb pain. Okay. And the thing I'm posting right now is the link on my YouTube channel where I talk about the specifics of all of this. And underneath that video, I have links to all the stuff that I talked about with phantom limb pain. So if you want to hear about phantom limb pain, go listen to this video, right click on it and listen to it after the show's over. But what really caught my attention about this, number one, arm. I don't get to address upper extremity amputees as much on the show, and that's something I really do want to start doing more. Okay. But also what someone commented on this person's post that made me go, yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to say. The person commented and saying, your pain has been worsening the past 2 years. Could it be due to something other than phantom limb pain? Ding, 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 right? So if you listen to my video on phantom limb pain, one of the things I stress the importance of is understanding the difference between phantom limb pain, phantom limb sensation, and residual limb pain. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick overview and then we'll move on. With phantom limb pain, it's exactly the pain is felt in your phantom limb, meaning the part of your body that is no longer there. So for an upper extremity amputee, they could be feeling a crushing pain in where their hand used to be. In my lower extremity amputees, it usually means the ankle or the foot, and it's this crushing pain where the limb used to be. The limb is no longer there, but that's where you're feeling the pain. And for people who are new amputees, they think they're going nuts because they're looking down. They know they don't have a limb there anymore, but they're still feeling pain there, okay? That's different from phantom limb sensation, right? Where you can feel the foot, but you might feel the foot, a little bit of movement, but there's pain. And then finally, residual limb pain, meaning the pain is in the limb that is still left, that is still present right there, okay? And oftentimes, guys, phantom limb pain and residual limb pain get mixed up. And to really make it interesting, sometimes the residual limb pain is what's causing and triggering the phantom limb pain. Okay, so this is why it's important if you're experiencing pain that's debilitating, that it's not just that little intermittent here and there. Sometimes you get it and then it goes away with conservative measures. It's important to have it screened just to see, is there another cause for it? Okay, in my lower extremity, the residual limb pain can come from bone spurs. It can come from heterotopic ossification. It can come from neuromas, right? And all of these things will trigger phantom limb pain or will feel like phantom limb pain, and the person doesn't understand the difference. For my upper extremity amputees, you have the whole brachial plexus in your armpit area. That's where all the nerves that control your arm, right? And the shoulder girdle complex is not as stable as your hip complex. So there's a lot more that can go wrong up here that could be contributing to this. It could be coming up from the neck, from the spine. Okay, especially for someone who's been an arm amputee for over 20 years, like this particular gentleman, where a lot of things have compensated, have probably become asymmetrical over the course of time. So I would say if any of these things, and the fact that it's getting worse indicates there is something that is changing within the skeletal structure, something that is changing there to make that pain get worse. And it's worth certainly getting it screened either by an orthopedic physician, by an orthopedic physical therapist who can figure out what's going on. Doug, I just finished answering all of your questions. Just finishing answering all of your questions, Doug. So you got to go back and watch the show so all of your questions were answered. Okay. All right, guys. I think I got all the questions for this evening. You guys are amazing. I have something really special planned for next week. It's not a sponsored talk or anything like that. But I recently did a guest blog on the Vitalfit skincare website. If you haven't been to their website, guys, really nice website. They got a lot of nice resources on there. They've got blog articles. They have the webinars that I've been doing with Greg, more educational webinars there, and a lot of great resources. So I was fortunate enough to do a guest blog for them. And it's about my journey through cancer, part of my journey through cancer. And it's not something that I talk about a lot on the show, especially this particular aspect of my cancer journey. But I was like, you know what? Next week I was just thinking of topics to talk about. I'm like, I think I'm ready to talk about that. And I'm going to be asking a lot of questions from you all. So I would love to see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. And I'm going to put you guys into the hot seat and ask you some of the questions. All right, guys, if I missed any of your questions, please feel free to email me at no, that's not my email. That's my website. Go to my website. You can send me your questions through there at cositalks.com. Thank you, guys. And if you can, please help spread the word about this. Share this video out to your support groups, to your personal pages. It helps me grow and reach those who might be looking for some education and information. So, guys, thank you for letting me be a part of your lives this evening. And I will see you same bat time, same bat channel.